Welcome back. I have a dear friend of mine, Ashley, here with us today. Fun story, Ashley and I have multiple mutual friends. She's actually been at my house. We hosted a birthday party for a friend. So she'd been to my house and recently had a dinner party. She was there and we were like, I think we know each other. Turns out we have a ton of mutual friends. And then last week we went to coffee together and it was so sweet. And she just shared her story and I felt like I wanted the audience to really hear what she's going through. This is not a past story. This is like an active story that she's living out and walking through today. And there's so much heartbreak and sorrow and hope and healing and just so many things that encompass her story. And I'm excited to have her here with us today. So
yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, I seriously love hosting this podcast. And one of the biggest surprises has been the amount of support that we have received from all of you, our listeners, and our amazing sponsors. We have partnered with Promise Grounds, a Texas-based company that also supports global mission by giving clean water ounce per ounce. They provide everything in our studio, from K-cups to fresh coffee beans to all of these adorable cups that we use on set. One of my favorite things to do is personalize each of these cups and recite scripture over our guests before we start recording. If you want to check out these adorable cups and some amazing coffee, click on the link below in our show notes and check out Promise Grounds. Click on the link below in our show notes and check out Promise Grounds. Today's episode is brought to you by Sugaring LA in McKinney, your go-to spot for beauty that makes you feel confident and cared for. Whether you're looking for expert sugaring, skincare, or just a little self-care moments, they've got you covered. Treat yourself today. You deserve it. Check out Sugaring LA in McKinney or click on the show notes below for deals, promos, and discounts. Thank you, Sugaring LA, for sponsoring this podcast.
Late 2023, I was working out with a trainer, getting to be more healthy, and just a ton of pain came on. We were hosting a small group. We had like 20 people over that night. The pain just kept increasing and increasing. It was in my rib cage, my shoulder, my back. And I was like, what is going on? I have all these people in my house. I can't like really deal with pain right now. Well, they actually prayed over me by the end of the night. And then the next day went into like a local ER. And they did some scans. The pain at this point was like 8 out of 10. And they saw my whole right lung full of fluid. And so because I was 34 at the time, they're like, oh, pneumonia. Like, that's what you have. Sent me home with 12 scripts and an inhaler. And that weekend I spent away from my kids. At the time, they were 5 and 2. And just thought, oh, I'm contagious. Like, I have pneumonia. I don't want to give it to them. Well, taking these scripts, nothing was helping. One night, my husband saw that my lips went blue and was like, we need to go to the hospital. And so went to a local hospital here in McKinney and did some more scans, more workups. And they saw something on my spine. They saw 3 spots on my spine, lesions. And they were like, could be osteoporosis if you were like 65 or older. They called them calcium deposits, or could be cancer. And so, yeah, in a short amount of time, I went from potentially pneumonia to cancer. But cancer doesn't start in your spine, starts somewhere else. And so that was kind of the next mystery of like, where could this be? So spent 4 days in this hospital. I was in a holding room because it was just a busy time. And so, my husband slept in a chair, and literally that's all that was the hospital bed and a chair for 4 days. There was no restroom. It was like going to the bathroom on like a little porta potty. I immediately was hooked up to oxygen because they clocked me at 78.
Wow.
Oxygen on like should be like 99, 100. And so, yeah, it was pretty intense. They ended up doing 2 biopsies with me there. From there, they were pretty sure it was cancer, but they did a thoracentesis procedure, which is where your fluid in your lung is eliminated. Like they got all the fluids out and they sent that out to pathology to see what kind of cancer is this? What's the primary? Where is this coming from? And then they sent me home with oxygen. I literally came in there not knowing I had a breathing problem, just thought I was in pain and thought, oh, because I'm in pain, it's hard to breathe, like child labor, right? It's like hard to breathe when you're in pain. But truly, it was hard to breathe because I was having lots of lung issues. So from there, it was really neat. I had 3 different people that didn't know each other, but just in those 4 days, tons of community came around and praying. People from my church were coming up, singing praise songs in the hallway because, mind you, they can't fit in that room. And so 3 people that didn't know each other, within 5 minutes on the day that I was getting discharged, day number 4 at this hospital, was like, you need to go to UT Southwestern. Cancer's on the table now. We need to get you to a bigger, better hospital. And I'm thinking, I've been 4 days away from my babies. I'm in a ton of pain. I just want to go home. I'm being discharged today. I had my oxygen, like literally the green thing, like rolling with it. And I just wanted to go home. But I just knew the Lord was saying, no, you've got to go to UT Southwestern. I have 3 different people that don't know each other telling me within 5 minutes, go down there. So we go with our agenda of like literally in the car with my oxygen holding it to UT Southwestern, downtown Dallas, thinking, oh, maybe we can get a PET scan and learn quicker. You know, like we were clueless, but we were frantic at the time. And so we go down there with our agenda. We have to go through the ER to get in. So we wait several hours. Well, the next thing I know, I'm getting triaged and a slew after a test, a scan of doctors come in and they're like, and medical professionals. And we're like, you have a major pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in your lung, which is oftentimes life-threatening. Because oftentimes when a blood clot goes to your lung, it hits your heart and kills you. And so they're like, immediately, we've got to get you on a blood thinner and IVs hooked up to you to like get this blood clot. It's huge. So the first hospital didn't see it.
Yeah. Did they do the same scan?
Yeah, they did like CT scans, similar scans, but it was missed at the first hospital. So hello, God, like sending these 3 people that don't know each other to tell me to go to UT Southwestern, and that I did. And so we did go there and with our own agenda, right? We always have our plan, and the Lord's like, nope, we actually have a major emergency we've got to take care of. Before that, that's life-threatening. And so, yeah, it was just like a slew of doctors coming in, hooking me up to a blood thinner, and then I would spend 8 days there. So a total of 12 days hospitalized.
Can't see your kids at all?
They did come, yeah.
Now that you don't have pneumonia, you're not contagious.
Yeah, they did come up there, but it was extremely jarring for the whole family.
Everybody to see, scary.
Yeah, my son is still like kind of traumatized. Like anytime I have a doctor's appointment, he's like, and I did yesterday, and he was emotional at school. I think I was telling you, sweet teacher, called me and was like, can he talk with you? He's just having a really tough day because he knew I had a doctor's appointment. He thinks mom might be in the hospital for the next 2 weeks.
Sweet boy.
And so, and that's now 2026. So 3 years later, but anyway, so from there, 12 days, we just found out a ton of information, right? Better scans, more biopsies, MRIs of the brain. I mean, you name it. I had every kind of scan under the earth. It was just so much in those 8 days there. And so a day after my birthday, I just had turned 35. I turned 35 in the hospital. They came in and said, you have stage 4 lung cancer. Never smoked a day in my life. And so was shocking. I was 30, just turned 35. And it was stage 4 because I had traveled from my lung to my spine in those 3 places.
So stage 4 is the top stage of cancer?
Yeah.
And it is terminal?
Yeah, it's considered terminal in Western terms, yes.
So explain that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you really do have to lean on the author of life and death, which is God. And doctors will give you a death sentence and they will give you all the statistics and whatnot. But I can't like choose to like walk in that and believe that. Because so I really don't consider like myself terminal. I, just walk under, I choose their wisdom and understand their wisdom and definitely abide by a lot of their wisdom, but I know who ultimately has her days numbered. So, yeah.
It makes me so emotional.
Yeah.
So I love that. I'm
Yeah.
sure that's hard to stay into that perspective at all times.
Yeah.
But
for
I
sure.
think that's the rock in which you cling, right? So
Yeah,
that's
you
like
have to.
the rock where you stand is like, I know this truth. There's days where it's not as easy to remember.
Yeah.
But I think probably the hardest part is being a mom.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Because I think over these last couple of years, I mean, it's wrecked me. Like, I've had a lot of time to process it. And my room right now from 2023 has scriptures because it's like my war room is my room. And so it's nothing fancy. It's not beautiful signs. It's literally like, some Crayola on a white computer paper, scriptures up in my room because nighttime is the hardest. It's like, that's when I would just lament and weep for those first couple of years. Like truly, I mean, your life just is completely rocked. It's just so jarring. But yeah, my kids, I think, is definitely the hardest part for me because no one anticipates like not potentially being able to raise your babies. So yeah, that's definitely the most difficult piece. And then I think, so to fast forward, I was no evidence of disease for a couple of years. And
so that means no evidence of disease is when you're in stage 4, you were explaining, you can't leave stage 4. You can't go down in a stage per the doctor's things, but they can say no evidence of disease, saying you're kind of at this standstill with it, but it still exists. Is that right?
Yeah. So the scan would show no evidence of active disease is how they would like to terminology it. But yeah, because they don't even want to give you any D. They want to give you no like real hope. So, no evidence of active disease is what my oncologist like.
But the cancer's there, or they're saying there's no cancer.
Well, the PET scans would show nothing.
Okay.
So the places in the spine have calcified. They're not there. Like the bone has calcified over. No cancer there.
Okay.
The places in the lung that it was at, the little nodules, they've decreased in size. So the treatment's working. And so for about 2 years, I was no evidence of active disease. Like I was able to get off oxygen within a couple of months. And I've just been making memories and living life with my kids as normal as possible.
Talk to me about that. Like this jarring, rocked your world thing.
Yeah, it doesn't go away, but
then you're like parenting differently. You're living differently.
Oh, for sure.
Everything changes.
For sure. Yeah, it's like, it's changed my life in every single possible way. Like parenting, it's like ultimately when I leave this earth, Lord willing, I get to see my grandbabies, but I want my kids to know Christ. So yeah, it's like every single interaction that you can have with them, you just want to point them to Christ. So yeah, it's yeah. So no, it's changed everything.
Like the trivial things disappear.
Oh yeah.
Like the things that used to consume you probably have no evidence of purpose or.
Yeah. I mean, I was kind of like dealt with some anxiety before. Like I didn't want to like be home alone sometimes, like at night, because I'm like a scaredy cat sometimes. Like Jason, my husband, had to leave or something. But
before cancer, you were that way?
Yeah, a little bit like more on the anxious side. And so things that I was anxious about before were like, they're just nothing. Yeah, your perspective changes, and eternal perspective, because you want to make every day count. Like in your parenting, it's like, I don't know how many days I have to point them to the gospel. And so even in just like discipline moments or story time or days you're exhausted, you're like, I want them to remember this. So I am going to read the extra story at nighttime, even though I'm exhausted. Or, you know,
that's got to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I could definitely say so. Have to have, grace with myself and when I'm exhausted too. But I do think there is this like, the Bible talks about like make the most of every opportunity, the time you have. And ultimately we all have like just a blink of time or in the span of terms of eternity. Like we're only here for such a blink of time. And so I think, yeah, just in my 30s, I was early 30s at that 34. I was not thinking of my mortality. And
Right.
so it just definitely brought it to the forefront of my mind of like, yeah.
I have that a little bit with Oakley, my oldest, because I wanted children so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost like made pleads with God. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I can be a mom, I'm going to be this type of mom. Or if I
that
can
pressure.
experience
Yeah.
this. And so if I get mad at my kids,
Mm-hmm.
I sit in an infertility or fertility, and we've renamed it from infertility to fertility. They don't want to speak that. So fertility and pregnancy loss group, like with women who are hopeful for children, like how dare I be mean to my kids? How dare I have a bad day as a mom? Like I wanted this. Like I'm not entitled to feeling that way almost. And I think that's not true. I think I can have bad days and I can be mad at my kids or be frustrated or yell on the way out the door because we're late and they're counting butterflies, and I'm like, we gotta go. But it holds like a different perspective, when you're dealing with cancer. It's like, man, if I only have another year, I don't want to fight with my kids. I don't want them to see anything bad. I don't want them to have any bad memories. And I can see that being very emotionally.
Just chasing joy. It's like, wanna have fun. Like
I can see that being so amazing and fun, but also like at the end of the day, like that mom guilt that we all sleep with. Like, did I do enough? Am I good enough? Did I make a mistake?
Yeah.
And you're building this legacy with almost like an expiration date on the focal front, where for a lot of us, we don't have that same, we should.
Yeah.
Because there's no days are guaranteed. Tomorrow's questionable for every one of us, but you've just been given such a stark like reality of, hey, there's a quicker expiration date than you had ever anticipated.
Yeah.
And then navigating that as a parent, I'm sure can be
it's a lot
heavy.
of like trying to die to self at times, because here I am like a few hours of like, maybe I just lost a cancer friend. That has happened a lot. I've very early on just made a lot of a huge network of young moms that have cancer, whether it be breast, colon, lung. And in that first year, I think I lost like 10 or 11 friends.
How did you meet them?
Different cancer clinics I would go to.
Here, local?
Some local and some in California. So we uprooted our family and went for 6 weeks out to Irvine, California, to a more integrative, holistic cancer center. And so, you're meeting people, you're praying with them, you're journeying with them. They have young kids, you're just talking through it. And so there were days I remember like in the beginning of the day, I'd like had learned that a friend was moving into hospice and it would just wreck me, because not only am I like grieving for their families, I'm carrying my own story that it touches so closely and personal. So, I think just like, I think that was difficult. And then when I'd go pick up my kiddos and it's like, now I'm hearing about their day and like some of their problems, and they just are obviously a bit smaller than like what heavy grief I was dealing with earlier that day. And so just trying to like sometimes, I don't know, dying to yourself a bit and like saying, okay, well, this is big in my son's world. Like I need to transition.
Yeah. Do you feel guilt for like, I've heard of like, excuse me, survivor's guilt. Like sometimes the person who's kind of left behind, it's like, why did you choose me to stay? Why do I get to be here? What is my purpose? What is my calling? And I think we all have that to some level. Like, what am I doing here, Lord?
Yeah.
But like, you've developed these friendships and now you're like losing them. It's probably putting it in reality for you. But then also like, You want those on? You want us, that the Lord would just say, like, I'm choosing to allow you to stay, and you're staying.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Survivor's guilt?
Yeah, I think there's been touches of that for sure. But I think too, you have to like, I've sat in those emotions for sure. But I think I just know that like he's sovereign and he has each of our days numbered. And where I probably have a difficult time is thinking, my story is going to be like their story. Like, well, oh, this happened to my lung cancer friend, like X, Y, and Z. If the X happens, then Y and Z is going to happen too. And just kind of having that fear. And I have to go back to, no, like just because that's her story, that doesn't mean that's going to be my story. But yeah, knowing he is sovereign and that he has all of our days numbered. Like, yeah, there's some where it's like a couple months after diagnosed, like they pass. And then there's some who go 15, 20, 30 years.
How did you tell your kids?
Yeah. So when they were 5 and 2, they saw instantly mommy had, oxygen and wearing the tubing and everything. And so they really didn't understand a lot at 5 and 2. So we just kind of told them mommy has a long-term sickness, because they understand when they get a tummy and they're sick, but this is a long-term sickness. And outside of that, we just said mommy might have more doctor's appointments. She might be away more. We used the word cancer. And then kind of fast forwarding to just January of this year, it came back. And so now my son's 7, and it's definitely been way more difficult emotionally because he understands a lot more. He has friends at school who have perceptions of what cancer means. And oftentimes cancer is associated with death. Cancer is associated with losing your hair. Cancer is associated with, what his first grade friends are telling him. And so we've just had to have a lot of communication and saying, hey, buddy, what you hear from others, you need to come and tell it to us. Some of it's not true and not applying to mommy. And then some of it we just need to talk through. So I'm like, it's a grace that I don't lose my hair. Like the treatment I have is not traditional IV chemo where you lose your hair. I'm doing a oral drug that I have to take every single night, super potent, super awful side effects, but it's not losing my hair. And so that's a grace that I don't have to really deal with. A lot of people have to really deal with.
Hair. For those that are not watching, she has the most beautiful, like long curly hair. It's amazing. So what a gift.
Well, thank you. It's not something I have had to process as of yet. I mean, maybe down the road or something, but so we've kind of had to like debunk some of those things for him. He is just a tender-hearted, sweet boy, and he has like such big feelings and expresses them and knows how to talk about what his emotions are and how he got there. And
that's amazing.
He's pretty in tune with his emotions. And so we just have those conversations. A lot of times it's at night. It's, hey, I can't go to sleep. It's 9 o'clock, an hour and a half past his bedtime. And I think this time around, I'm like shedding tears in front of him more now. Like before I was strong mom and they never saw a tear from mom. But now it's,
So January, so we're recording this early March, like literally like March 4th or 5th.
Yeah.
So you went in for like a routine checkup.
Yeah.
Kind of expecting part. You went in every 3 months. You would drive from Dallas to Houston, 4 hours, spend the day down there and then drive back. So it's pretty routine. You're kind of doing this thing and you're getting all these like check marks. No indication that this was coming back. Were you feeling sick or worn down, or was there any reason?
No, there really wasn't. Maybe my back was hurting a little bit, but there was nothing major, like hard to breathe or anything like that. No.
And life is stressful. You've got kids. You work full time. You're married. I mean, you guys
have a full plate.
Yeah,
sure.
You're in the thick of it. And so stress can be a factor. And so you're going through these motions and you're just getting this checkup. You go down in January.
Yep. Yeah. January 5th, head to Houston. We always leave on a Sunday. We have a full day of appointments on a Monday. We have the PET scan early, meet with a cardiologist. They want to see how my heart's doing on these drugs. Meet with the oncologist, do a ton of blood work. It's just appointment. And yeah, I was really shocked. I think my initial reaction this time was a little mad. Like my first time diagnosed, people would come up to me and be like, "Are you just mad? Like, I bet you've really wrestled with God." And I was like, I really wasn't mad the first time, but the second time I was mad because I've been praying for 2 years and saying, "Lord, I don't want to be a statistic. I believe like in your healing." And, I'm praying I'm not a statistic. And then here I am kind of being a statistic in a way. Like MD Anderson had said that it would be 18 months to like 36 months of how long I'd get to be on that first line of treatment, that first drug. And here we are like 26 months in, and I'd grown resistant to the first drug.
So that's the statistic you did not want to be.
Right. That was one of them.
What were you praying, or what was your expectation?
Yeah, I was just praying and believing that there's people I've met that have been on their first line of treatment for 10, 12, 13 years. So
and
I was
it's
praying.
Fine.
Right.
It's not as strong as this new one that has these harder side effects. So it's not
Correct.
as toxic, and you prefer a more natural approach. I love the way that you're navigating your treatment, is that you take the advice of the doctors and you pursue that, and you do, that line, but then you also have a holistic approach, and you're just going to California for 6 weeks and saying, "Hey, we want to do it this way." Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So definitely think that cancer, especially being stage 4, needs an integrative approach. So what I mean by that is take the best of the holistic world, take the best of standard of care, Western medicine world, and do a blended approach for the best outcome. So yeah, I think you talk to just Western standard of care, and literally my oncologist said, "Go eat ice cream every day." The holistic, side of things would be like, "Stay away from sugar." Why are they telling you this? Like,
why was he saying ice cream?
Well, they were saying like,
just enjoy your life.
Enjoy your life, and sugar doesn't have a
effect.
They don't think diet and lifestyle really affects cancer, whereas the holistic side would say absolutely it does.
Yeah, it does.
When you get a PET scan, you're given radioactive glucose, so that your cancer lights up when glucose. So, when you're eating ice cream, like it's feeding the cancer and such. So anyways, yeah. So, and holistic is way more than diet and lifestyle. I mean, it's ozone treatment. It's like, let's get your body alkaline. Let's get your body oxygenated. It's just treating it at a cellular level, trying to get to some of those root causes, even the emotional component, and how that affects.
You're doing all of this while you're also doing that. Were you doing this in that 2-year, 26 months?
Yeah, I think, definitely the first year and a half, I hit it hard. But then I really had to learn spiritually. I think God was like, "Hey, cancer can become an identity," and I didn't want it to be an identity. And so I had to kind of back off on some of that. I didn't want every day for me to be like, how can I heal cancer? It's so like
almost I don't want to say idol.
Yeah.
Because we think idols are things that we would worship, but just kind of like hyper focused.
Yeah. And there's a season, to be hyper focused on something. I was fighting for my life, but I had been no evidence of disease for a year and a half. It was time for me to transition. That's when I went back to work. And so I think, to answer your question, some of those holistic therapies, modalities, you're talking acupuncture to infrared sauna to red light therapy to coffee enemas. Like, the list is very long.
I love those things.
Kind of fell off. So I really got into just living day to day with my babies.
So now it's back.
It's back.
And you are kind of trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
This drug that you're on now is the next phase.
Yeah.
How many phases are there?
Well, it's ever evolving. So yeah.
Is it a trial?
No, it's been FDA approved just last July. So
Okay.
don't love taking something that was like just FDA approved, but it's all a surrender. It's like, this is not Ashley's plan. This is not Ashley's want. If I could press the button and make it all go away, I probably would. But
Probably.
I would.
Okay, you would or probably?
I would.
Okay,
for
yes,
sure.
making sure.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that there's moments where you're like,
there's
this
gratitude.
has changed me.
Yeah.
This is.
That's why I say probably.
Yeah,
You
I
knew
love that.
You knew. Yeah. Because it's like, the Lord has taught me so much and humbled me. And surrender doesn't just mean surrender. Like, it's literally like, I have no control of when I take my last breath. Like, there's no control. And it's sometimes you go through different trials and you learn like, well, I don't have much control in my career or, certain circumstances. But I guess when it's, your whole life, you're like, I don't, like, the Lord is sovereign, and you really have to believe. You believe he's fully sovereign and he's fully good. That's how you can rest in these circumstances. Because I'm like, I do believe he's fully good, and I do believe he's fully sovereign. So if he's fully good, then whatever happened is for my good. Even though Ashley flesh is like, but yeah, God, it's really good if I raise my babies, right? Like, that's really a good thing. And I, grew up with mom challenges and didn't, my biological mom was in and out of my life. And so the emotional part of like me not really having a good relationship with the mom growing up has been definitely very difficult for this, because I don't want my babies to not have a mom, but I think it goes back to, do you believe, Ashley, that he's fully good and he's for your family's good and he's for Carter and Claire's good and for your husband's good, and he's fully sovereign?
So you said the first time people were like, are you mad at God?
Yeah.
And you were like, no. You were just kind of like taking it in stride.
Yeah.
And you were just living, finding all the little nuggets, the silver lining, the joy. You were just kind of like taking it and saying like, yes, Lord, this is what you've given us, and you're going to see us through. Scared, I'm sure, but just
that was the emotion.
not angry.
Yeah. The first time, yeah.
It's a little bit different because you said you've been praying for 2 years. You've kind of released the control of the Western medicine pieces and just kind of been like, all right, we just need to start finding a normal. And that was about 6 months ago that you kind of came to that. And then now it's back. And there's a totally different emotion this time around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Totally probably people's response too.
Yeah.
So talk to me about this time being different.
Yeah. So it didn't last too terribly long, but the 4.5 hour drive home from Houston was mad. Like,
but you weren't expecting it, right? It was just routine. And you went in.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, hey.
Yeah. Because it was in two different places. And my left side is lymph nodes. So it wasn't even in the original sites. Because it was in my like left clavicle, which is your neck, and then in my back. So very distant, which again is not ideal. The SUV, which just means how metabolically active the cancer is, was really high. So that means it's active. So all things that are not good and frightening. And so, I was definitely driving home and I was bawling, but I was just mad. Like, I just wanted to yell. I think there was a few like yelling too.
Were you alone?
No, my husband was driving, but it was just pretty quiet. And it was just like, it was just processing. Like, I didn't want the radio on. I just was mad. People were texting me and calling me, like wanting to know like
how to go
results and such. And
do they always?
No, not always.
This one felt different.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I definitely have like a few good friends that are like always, texting and whatnot. I'm like, hey, what's your results? But this particular time, it did seem like there was more that were like, hey, what's the results? Like, we've been praying and we usually hear from you by now. And, I couldn't, like, I was mad,
What were you mad at?
I think that I just really, truly believed that, had this faith and believed that I wasn't going to be a statistic, and hear that MD Anderson oncologist is telling me, like, in a way, you're a statistic right now. Like, your first line of treatment, you'll grow resistant to that drug in 18 months to 3 years. Well, it was 26 months. So I fit their mold, and I didn't like that because I'm like, Lord, like, I've been doing everything I can with, the holistic piece and just getting my body like more prepared and just believing and having faith that I wouldn't be a statistic. And yeah. And then like to hear that was like, man, that's a bummer, but or just earth shattering, really, more than a bummer. But
so January 5th, you and your husband come home. You've done your treatment. You get your results. At some point, you have to tell your kids. You have to tell your friends. You kind of have to kind of say, I know this is what we've prayed, but this is what God has allowed.
Yeah.
You have to kind of accept that. And I think with our audience of infertility and loss and just being hopeful, there's a lot of women who pray prayers that are not answered in the same way.
Yeah.
But they pray them. And I think that's that sovereign peace of the Lord. But you come back and you tell your children.
Yeah. So I love that we serve a God who just like allows us to be mad, right? It's like he's not going anywhere. Like he knows. So I love that I was able to like be mad. I think it lasted maybe 24 hours, thankfully, but like he wants like real lament. Like he wants our real emotions. And so that's what I gave him. I was mad in the car. But yeah, the next day I woke up and started calling doctors to get second opinions, and you just keep moving. Like you keep putting, one foot in front of the other, and he directs our steps. And he truly did. I mean, in amazing ways to find the right doctors to give me this insurmountable piece of what to do next. So I think that really grew my faith because
yes, this sucks, but I have not left you or forgotten you. I'm right here in the middle of it.
Yeah. And I felt that next week, those next 6 days, like I can't describe, like it just moving mountains is what happened. And it's like the beginning of the week, I was like, there's no way these 4 doctors are going to agree on the same thing for what to do next, because they couldn't be more different. Like one's extremely holistic and the other one's MD Anderson and is not. And the Lord just worked it out to where there was unity in decision making of, do I go to the next drug? Do I get a tissue biopsy? Like all of these questions. And it just increased my faith because I knew that the Lord allowed for unity there when I didn't think that was possible at the beginning of the week. So, but as far as just telling my kiddos, we waited a couple of days, and then it was like a Sunday. We sat down and I think it was a Sunday, maybe it was a Saturday, but we sat down and at the dinner table and just told them what was going on. Like, hey, do you remember when mommy was sick last time? And well, the cancer has come back. We don't shy away from the word cancer, but we let them know, like, what is cancer? It's a long-term sickness. And so my son, definitely cried.
And he's
my
7,
daughter,
and your daughter is
4.
4.
Yeah. And so she cried because he cried, and there was lots of questions, and we just answered the questions. But we're also we know our kids, and like God entrusts our kids to us. So people have a million opinions on how we should handle these type of things. But it's like, I know my son is a little bit more like prone to anxiety. And so I'm like, we're not going to put the cart before the horse and tell him like any kind of crazy, scary statistics or anything like that. Like age appropriate is not going to be able to like handle that. So, we just one day at a time do the best that we can. And so we told him the truth of what's going on, but we're not going to use words like terminal or, some of the statistics, it's like 11% make it 5 years. Like, no, like we're not going to, like right now, mommy is dealing with symptoms, but her blood work, we just tell them currently what's going on, and not trying to get too far ahead, but just what's going on today.
Yesterday, you got blood work back.
Yeah.
While you were here at my house.
Yep.
Not what you were expecting.
But good news. Yeah.
But good.
Yeah. So was expecting like, maybe I'll be back in range, that no evidence of active disease. Been on the drug now for about 8 weeks. And so, is that right? Yeah. 8 weeks. And so I thought, maybe the blood work would show that no evidence of active disease. And the blood work doesn't show that. It shows that it's going down. So the treatment is working. And so we, rejoice in that for sure. But just not where it needs to be. We're not there yet. We haven't arrived at that type of good news yet, but I think it's coming. So.
What would you tell somebody in our audience that is struggling with unanswered prayer? Maybe it's not the prayer, the request that they wanted, that baby, that sickness, that diagnosis, that real deep, like just groaning within your heart that you're like, Lord, I need this to be answered. I need this. I want this. This is the desire of my heart. I know these things are good and you're a good God. We delight in the Lord and he gives us the desires of our heart. And that prayer for you hasn't been answered in the way that you wanted it, whether it was yesterday's test results or the cancer coming back or the original diagnosis or every little prayer in between. How do you reconcile that in your mind as a believer to keep going? And what would you tell somebody when they're, walking through 15 years of infertility, or they've been diagnosed with something that their mind and heart just cannot comprehend that God would allow for them to walk through?
That's such a good question. I have a lot of thoughts. I think one, don't go through it alone.
Okay.
Because that's what the devil would wants us to isolate and wants to speak lies. You're not worthy, wants to make you be alone and isolate you. So lament, like there's biblical lament. Like you look at the Psalms and you look at David and he's just like crying out. And then it's like, but God, and then it's like praise, right? And that's like what our hearts do. It's like, I'm lamenting, okay, but I'm getting to your truth and I know the gospel's real and I have salvation in you. Okay, and now I can rejoice through suffering. But you can't skip the lament, like that's a real part of, like when you're reading the Psalms, like that's a real part of going through any kind of suffering or trial. Don't go through it alone. Like there's professionals out there. There's, biblical counselors. There's just community walking through, like lamenting that, because, the Lord doesn't want infertility. He doesn't want disease. Like he's a good God, but there is brokenness, in this world. And so those are some of my initial thoughts. And then I think ultimately just surrendering and trusting God. And I think those are such like taboo words, but it's like, that's the only way to do it.
You're like, this isn't like a story and then we're going to get to an end part and be like, oh, this is how she did it. Like you're doing it right now. Today, you're 8 weeks into a new treatment that you did not expect or want or plan for, and you're 8 weeks into it and you're saying, every day I have to surrender.
Yeah,
every day I have to trust. Every day I have to walk this out.
Yeah.
And my test results were not exactly what I wanted, but I'm going to keep going and I'm going to see his hand. And I think too, what you do really well is you grab those nuggets, those moments of, okay, I see you, God. This is what I wanted, but I see you over here.
Yeah.
And that's a critical piece.
And I think he does too, like use your pain for purpose. So it's like, would I be clinging to him as much? Like these scriptures, like I have to like meditate on it day and night, like memorizing it, like even just thinking about going in for a PET scan. I was anxious. I mean, I couldn't even get an IV a few years ago, like where they poke me. Now they poke me every day, almost for something. But yeah, just you're in a PET scan. You don't have a phone to numb out on. Like it's you and God in that big scary machine where you're like claustrophobic. But yeah, at that point, it's like, okay, Lord, I hear you. Like I need to like know your scriptures so that I can meditate on it, because there's no numbing out when you're even in those big tunnels. So just clinging to him.
What verse really has like resonated, or verses if you have multiple?
Yeah.
But like what really has been that like meditated word that you speak over yourself or that you share in this season?
Yeah. Lots of phrases, I would say, like verses, but that I would just say is there's so many, but I shall live, not die, because I think there's a lot of fearful thoughts that come in Psalms of like, the enemy wants me to have thoughts of death, like fearful thoughts that are intrusive thoughts. And I have to take those captive and say like, no, I'm choosing a thought that's about life. And then also, I would say like, my grace is sufficient for you. In your weaknesses, I am strong. Like that one hits a lot. I'm going to sustain you in Psalms. Going through like the characteristics of God of like, he's my strong tower. He holds me in the palm of my hand. I think like, I really imagine that like he's holding me and my babies in his hand, like that visual, like, and there's a song by Brandon Lake, right? Is that his name? Palm of hand. That's been like just incredible for me. But so many scriptures come to mind, but I think, having to go back to truth and then being real with God. Like, okay, this is a day where I just lost a mom friend, and why is this happening, Lord? This is not okay. And, and just keep talking to him and keep turning to him, and then inviting people in that are also far along in their walk with God.
Yeah. So in our audience, what if somebody has a friend who's navigating cancer, has children, or maybe they have a cancer diagnosis and they're still trying to conceive? They just have somebody close to them that's just, their world's been rocked. What kind of advice would you give to a friend, like someone like me, or someone that's kind of walking in the outskirts of your pain? How do we support you? I know being there, sometimes just listening, but like, what are some things that we, the community, can do for our friends when they're hurting?
Yeah. Everyone's different. I mean, I'm pretty extroverted, so I love to be around people. But some people might not like that. So I think everyone's kind of handles grief and stuff differently. But for me personally, I think like showing up, it's hard to ask people for help. It really is. It's so hard. I have a friend at church who we're more of acquaintances, but she has told me over the last 2 or 3 years, like pretty consistently, when so many other people have like dropped off, and don't ask anymore or whatever. But she just, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And just like so genuine. And then it's just like, we can watch your kids. We're here. We can watch your kids. We're here. And just keeps reminding me. And it's like, okay, like that's helpful to know. Like it's been 3 years. You're still checking. You're still praying. You're still, offering help. And then there's been people who just like show up, and it's like, hey, I know you're not going to ask, but you've been like vomiting for 2 months. I'm assuming your laundry's not done. Like, and they just come and grab your laundry or something like that. Because it is hard. It's hard to be like, hey, can you come help with laundry or something? Like it's humbling to have to ask all the time. But when people just show up and they're like, I'm doing your dishes, like, or whatever, and bring meals. Like there were people that didn't even ask, like they just brought them. And you're like, okay. And random things. I've had like a plant on my front door. And it was like,
so are those gestures,
sweet.
It's not necessarily the laundry or the meal. It's just like moments for you to see that you're not forgotten.
Yeah.
And that people still care. Have you had anyone walk away because this was too hard?
Some, yeah. No one like close, but I feel like there are people that just like don't want, maybe they would consider it like negative energy or like
Too hard.
yeah, I don't want to hear, like, I want to stay in my positive bubble. Everything's good and, cushiony and like, I don't want to have to think about like what you're dealing with or something. So I wouldn't say it was anyone that I'm like close with, but I've definitely seen, people like that for
Yeah.
sure.
You created a Facebook kind of community to just share updates and to let people know why. Why did you do that? And has it been helpful? Is it just like easier to just put all that information into one, or just kind of giving them the opportunity so you're not, like, what was that about? Or did you do that the first time?
Yep, the first time. So I think initially it just started out, there's a bunch of different groups asking questions, and it was hard to like keep up those 12 days being hospitalized. And so I had a procedure done at MD Anderson, like and people, just lots of questions. And so that was the day I did. I was like, why don't I create a Facebook group, not knowing it would get to, I think there's like a little over 500 or something people, but I think people they knew like a cousin. And so I don't even know everybody in this group, but it's a prayer warriors group that I do share updates. So it's just for kind of ease of use, but also just like knowing these people are praying, and these comments are like encouraging. So there are days like maybe it's 2 weeks after people made those comments or whatever, or those specific prayers, that it's 1:00 in the morning and I'm tear filled and I'm struggling, and I like go to that encouragement sometimes. So yeah, so it's encouraging to me. And then I do believe in the power of prayer. And so I think just knowing there's strangers in there praying for me, like they might know my cousin or they might know, somebody that's in that group, I think is just such a sweet feeling. And knowing the body of Christ is not just my like immediate circle, like it's someone that might be in a different state or country praying for me is
amazing.
Pretty cool.
Would it be okay if we shared your link in our show notes for our audience who might be just kind of drawn to your story and wanting to pray with you and keep up and just kind of rally around you and support you in love and encouragement, and just say, you know what, Ashley, like, may have never met you before, but I heard your story and it resonates with me, and I want to hold your arms up as you navigate that. Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Any final thoughts for our team or for our audience that would just really, how would you like to close us?
I don't know.
Keep
Trusting
going.
God. Yeah, trusting God with what he gives you each day, like making the most of it, make the most of every opportunity you have, and don't grieve alone, and don't beat yourself up because you're grieving. Like, it's okay to lament. I love that verse where he talks about he holds our tears in a jar. He counts our tears in a jar. Like, our society's always like, I'm so sorry I'm crying, or I'm not going to cry. And it's like, we are made to cry, and it's like Jesus wept, so we want to be like Jesus, like it's okay to cry. And I think I had to teach myself that, because in the beginning I didn't want to cry in front of my kids, and now I'm like, you're crying, buddy, you're sad, sweetest boy. Like, he just the other day he was like, Mom, I know you're really tired all the time. This new medicine has made me pretty fatigued and in bed a lot of days. He's like, but Mom, I'm never tired. I'm like, I know. You're running and jumping on me all the time. He's like, I'm never tired. What if I just took the medicine for you? I was like, the compassion this 7-year-old boy has, I could not cry when he said that. Like, I just was a stream. And I was like, buddy, it doesn't work that way. But you're so sweet. You don't have lung cancer. It doesn't work that way. But he's like, I just am really worried about you, Mom. I'm worried. And I'm like, it's something about your kids carrying that burden you have. I'm like, I'm just not ready for that. Like, now that he's 7, it is a lifelong, thing that I'm going to have to deal with. But it's going to be lifelong for him too, and for her. And for them to have to now carry it. It's like I'm limping carrying it. I don't want them to have to carry this burden. Like that's what I'm kind of grappling with now. But yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about Ashley's story, we're going to link it below in the show notes. And thanks for joining in.